Namaste, I'm Rahul and welcome to Allegorical Indian. This is the place where I discuss my understanding of Indic scriptures in an esoteric sense. The basic principle of understanding Indian scriptures is on three levels. It's called tapatraa, which is Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik and Adhyatmik. Adi Bhautik pertains to the worldly realm. Adi Daivik is the divine principle, and it is the Adhyatmik layer which is like a spiritual understanding of things. The Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar. These three entities are the creator, the sustainer and the destroyer or the reformer gods of the Indic scriptures. And the way I see it is that they reflect in a way our psychological landscape. If you see Vishnu's iconography, Vishnu is always decked up and he's kind of ready for the world. That reflects what we call our consciousness, and Shiva is always in a meditative state. So that is reflective of our subconscious mind, and Brahma is what I consider to be manifest reality. Then that leaves out the Devi, and Devi is the infinite intelligence which is beyond the manifest state. So she's unmanifest and manifest at the same time. So that principle is the quantum field or the infinite intelligence. Now, if it was just this once, then I would have said maybe it's a coincidence. But this framework, when it is applied, it kind of reflects in various degrees in most of the Puranic stories also. There is one very, very critical tale in which Parvati asks Shiva, "You are the ultimate god, and everyone is meditating and doing tapasya to achieve your state. And why do you need to meditate? What are you trying to achieve?" And Shiva tells her that he is always meditating on Vishnu's heart, and our consciousness is always feeding inputs to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is always receiving inputs. Like, for instance, when you're learning to drive, in the beginning you are very focused and aware about when to press the clutch and when to switch the gears, and you're being very aware of it. But after some time it becomes second nature. That's when your subconscious has absorbed it and it becomes automatic. Now let's apply this on the Devi principle. Devi is called Moola Prakriti. She is Adi Shakti. She is beyond manifestation. When everything dissolves, she's that field that just exists. For Brahma, she takes the form of Saraswati. For Vishnu, she becomes Lakshmi. For Shiva, she becomes Parvati or Sati. The Devi is the same, but she is kind of always shifting forms based on observation, which is one of the core principles of Indian philosophy. It's called Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is nature. Purusha is the passive observer. And based on Purusha's observations, Prakriti manifests in various ways. This curiously reminds me of the double slit experiment. If you don't know about the double slit experiment, go have a look-see, because I'm not the right person to describe it. I have a vague understanding of it, but you see that, and then you connect this to the principle of Purusha and Prakriti, and you will know what I'm talking about. So whenever you read the stories from the Puranas and stuff, you will know that these things are kind of fitting in place. For instance, you will rarely see Vishnu giving a boon to an asura, but there are n number of such instances where Shiva has given the boon or Brahma has given the boon. This is very, very reflective of how the subconscious absorbs and imbibes disharmonious thoughts. You'll have to go back a bit to the principle of what Sura and Asura is. Asuras are the elder brothers of Devas. Maharishi Kashyap sired children from his first wife, who was Diti, and they became the Daityas, which are considered Asuras. There is again a difference. There is a difference between a Daitya and an Asura and all that, but Puranic tradition says that Asuras are the elder brothers of the Devas, following which Maharishi Kashyap had a second set of children with his wife Aditi, who is the younger sister of Diti, and those children were known as Devas or Suras. Sura is harmony and Asura is something that is without harmony, which is chaos. So Asuras are chaotic vibration and Suras, which is Devas, are harmonious vibrations. And that's why sometimes chaotic vibrations, chaotic thoughts, we kind of imbibe into our system and our subconscious learns those habits. This is how bad habits like addictions and even negative thinking in a way is harmful to us. Even if you're doing it for someone else, you are actually generating that hatred inside you first. That's why Asuras are always the ones who receive the boon from Shiva, and in most cases it is Vishnu who must come to the aid, and in some cases it is even beyond Vishnu, and that is when Devi has to come to the aid. So we'll get to that much later, because I'll have to lay a groundwork to by the time we reach the Devi principle. But this is like the basic lay of the land. Now let's come to the names and attributes given to these gods. Vishnu is usually referred to as Satchitananda and Shiva is referred to as Chidananda. Now Satchit Ananda is what makes up the name Satchitananda. Sat plus Chitta plus Ananda. And for Shiva's name Chidananda, Sat is left out. You might think that slightly odd, because many of the mantras in the I think in the Yajurveda, where Shiva is called the ultimate truth. There is a verse, Om Namah Shivaya cha Shivataraya cha Satyaya cha Satyataraya cha, which is saying that Shiva is the ultimate truth. So when naming him, why leave Sat from his name? I think it is because of the quality of this subconscious versus conscious. If you see many of the modern scientific understanding of the subconscious mind is unable to differentiate between true and false. If the conscious mind believes a thought, the subconscious accepts it, regardless whether it is true or false. And that is how fears work, or paranoia, or any kind of negative thinking, So that is how we imbibe all these negative thought patterns, and we react from those thought patterns, and that is the Asura within us. Another thing, why are Asuras called Asura? Asura is basically something that is devoid of Sura, and if Suras are the second born, why would anyone name the first born to be without? So it just doesn't make sense that, and this pattern repeats once again in Samudra Manthan, which I will cover next, where Alakshmi appears before Lakshmi appears. If you see in a scientific sense, it's usually chaos that condenses into harmony. The beginnings are chaotic. Even if you're starting a company, the beginning is going to be chaotic. You're going to have all sorts of unforeseen events or whatever. If you're starting your career, it's going to be a chaotic start until you figure out what you're going to do and coalesce into a harmony that is your own. So Asura is always the elder, and then Suras become the younger. Coming back to the boons part, where you always see Shiva giving the boon, and Brahma giving the boon, and Devi or Vishnu coming to the aid. There are only two instances in which Vishnu has given a boon to an Asura, or these are the two instances that I know of. One is, and the second one is not even a boon, so there is only one instance actually. The only Asura that Vishnu has given boon to is Bali, and the second one is Prahlad. But Prahlad did not receive a boon from Vishnu, but received aid. And very fascinating story. I will cover it in detail. So yes, do stay tuned and subscribe and do all those things. And also, I would like to hear your thoughts about what you think about this perspective. So yes, please do write in the comments. The thing is, there was so much of this. Once I started going and looking from this perspective, every story told me something new, and I kept first writing, making notes, and so much so that I ended up writing a book. Do pick it up if you are interested in these stories. It's called SWARAUM, Mystic Metaphors from Indic Scriptures. You will find the link in the description. I would really like to know your thoughts on this perspective, and do keep yourself engaged, because it is from this kind of esoteric perspective that we understand any discernible learning which will eventually help us in our lives. Having said that, it is not reducing the divinity to our consciousness, because our conscious mind is limited. So when I say Vishnu is our conscious mind, it's not reducing Vishnu to our consciousness, but seeing these divine entities as, because they're devas, they're made of light, and light reflects differently on different surfaces. So for instance, if you're looking at the reflection of the moon on a calm water body, you will see a proper form. But at the same time, if the water is erratic and chaotic, you will not be able to see the reflection. It will just be scattered all over the place. So that's what happens with these divinities, where we sort of calm ourselves, and that's when we are able to connect with them. So we find calmness, and then they take hold of you and guide you through life. So when I say Vishnu is consciousness and Shiva is the subconscious mind, that's not all. They are multifaceted beings which are beyond our conception, and they are reflecting in various aspects of life. It's like a DNA. A DNA can make your hand. That doesn't mean it cannot make any other part of your body. So you can say that Vishnu is the universal DNA of consciousness, and Shiva is the universal DNA of subconscious mind. And not just humans, because animals are also very subconscious beings. In fact, they are operating lesser from their consciousness and more from their subconscious mind. They are more instinct driven. And that's one of the reasons why Shiva could be called Pashupatinath, because all the animals mostly work from the subconscious frame of mind. So he is Pashupatinath. These kind of things, they just keep adding up. They're just like layer over layer over layer, and the meanings are never ending. I think naturally you will be wondering how I came about this insight, and I don't know how, because it came to me in meditation while and it was, I can't even describe how it was a voice, and it was a very clear voice that, I mean, they're not even words. It was a connection. It just like fell in place. And then once I had that mold, I kept rereading Purans and various Ramayana and Mahabharata itihasas, and every time I looked from this perspective, I saw a different side of the story. Be it the story of Prahlad and Narsimha, be it the story of Hiranyaksha and Varahaswami, be it the story of Krishna and Narkasur, or I'm not even getting into Mahabharata at this point and Ramayana because it's just so much, but I will need to build up for it. So yes, do stick around, and I would like to see you on this journey with me. Thank you very much. See you soon.